What's up, guys? I'm Derick, also known as the Two Smoker on TikTok, and I'm currently rebuilding this 2013 YZ125 from the frame up, and it's gonna need some brakes. Let's get to it. Today we're rebuilding the front brake system, so we got our Saracota caliper, master cylinder, and bracket, along with our All Balls Racing brake pads and both rebuild kits. In the front master cylinder rebuild kit 18-1010, you are going to receive a new plunger boot, piston seals, a piston spring, snap ring and washer, mounting hardware for the cap, and banjo bolt crush washers. In the front caliper rebuild kit 18-3011, you're going to receive 4 piston seals, 2 slider pin boots, a bleed nipple boot, brake pad retaining pin, and 2 banjo bolt crush washers. And in the front brake pad kit 18-8089, you're going to receive 2 centered brake pads. Let's run through all the tools you're going to need to get this job done. Over here we have a small flat screwdriver and a punch. This is going to help ensure that the boots are seated correctly, as well as help you pack them with grease. The pick is going to help you remove the seals on disassembly and install the seals on assembly. Just ensure you don't mess up the new seals when putting them in. Snap ring pliers so you can install the snap rings on the plungers for the master cylinders. Allen keys and a flat screwdriver to help you install the brake pad retaining pin. A few wrenches to install the slider pins. And a JIS, or you can get away with a Phillips screwdriver to install the reservoir caps. Over here we have some brake fluid. You're going to need that, obviously. 1 as assembly lube and 2 so your brakes can work. And some Loctite to ensure that your pins do not come loose. I'm going to start by installing this rubber boot. What I like to do is grab the boot, cave it in, and fold it over itself. Something like that. From there you can take it and wiggle it into your hole on the caliper. You don't have to go all the way. You probably won't get it all the way like this anyways. Just enough so you can grab it with some pliers. Then you can grab a hold of the boot lightly with some pliers and kind of pull it the rest of the way through. Just like that. Next, we're going to install our rubber boot into the caliper bracket. This one just slides into a little groove in the bracket. Work one side in, press down on the other side. Just like that. Next, we're going to fill our boots with a little bit of grease. So I've got a bit here on the tip of a screwdriver. We're just going to work that in there and make sure it gets all greased up. Just like that. You don't need too much either. Same thing for the boot on the caliper bracket. Again, you don't need a whole lot of grease. Make sure you pack it in there good. Just like that. Next, we're going to install our piston seals into the caliper. Remember, one seal is thicker than the other. The thicker seal goes in first, followed by the thinner seal. I like to dab the seal in a bit of brake fluid because remember, you got to give it the lube. Now, like I was saying, if you look inside the caliper, one groove is bigger than the other. The bigger seal goes into the bigger groove, which is the first one at the back there. So to get this guy in, you just got to finesse it a little bit. I'll do this the best I can on camera, but there we go. One side in. Let's see if you can see it better with the front seal. So once again, it's lubed up. We're just going to slide that into the groove on one side and slowly work it around until it sits into the groove, just like that. Now we can repeat the same process on the other side. Work that seal in there. Come on. There we go. Just like that. And now the final seal. I super beautiful. And also make sure that you inspect the seals to ensure that they are seated correctly. Now we can give the pistons the lube, and then those will slide right into the caliper. Remember, closed end goes in first, open end towards you. So we're just going to slowly work this in. Right like that. Perfect. Once again, we're going to repeat the same process on the other side. Open end facing us. I use it to put my finger in and kind of help push evenly. Once you're in there. Perfect. Now we don't want to forget the Loctite on the slider pins. So we're going to give that the good stuff. This one here is the one that's going to thread into the caliper. Just like so. Then we're going to grab our Allen key and run it home. Make sure it's good and tight. One more slider pin that needs the Loctite, except this one goes on the caliper bracket. We'll just thread that in. This one doesn't need an Allen wrench, you just need a standard wrench, 12 millimeters. Tighten it up. Beautiful. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our sliding pad into the caliper bracket. And now the slider for the caliper. Just like that. Our next step is to now mesh the bracket and caliper together. So you're going to line up your slider pins with the rubber boots that we installed earlier. And you're just going to walk those into each other. Just like that. A little trick for you, if when you're pressing them together, there's like an air pocket that's pushing them back out, just grab a flat screwdriver, get into that seal, lift it up a little bit. Y'all hear that? That will release the air and allow the caliper bracket to slide further into the caliper. Now we can grab our brake pads. We're going to slide those into our caliper. 1 and 2. Just like so. And grab our new brake pad retaining pin that already has Loctite on it. Thank you, All Balls Racing. And we could slide that through right through both brake pads and tighten it up. You are going to need an Allen key to do so. Now we can grab our Allen key and go ahead and run that pin in until it seats. Right about there. Perfect. And don't forget the little end cap to keep the dirt and crud out of there for next time. Last step for the caliper is to install the bleeder nipple. Now the All Balls Racing kit does come with a new boot, which is nice. So install that onto your nipple and thread your nipple. Oop, don't drop the nipple. Thread the nipple into the caliper. And there we go. Just like that, we've got one fully built caliper ready to go. Moving on to the master cylinder, we're going to kick things off with the piston install. When it comes to the piston seals, you'll notice the one on the right here has a larger inside diameter than the one on the left. There is a reason for that. The larger ID seal will go on the larger OD section on the piston, and same thing, smaller ID seal goes on the smaller OD side of the piston. I typically use a pick to help me work the seal onto the piston, but be very careful when doing this. Take your time so you do not damage that seal, just like so. Another important thing to notice is you see the cups on these seals. You want the cup facing the bottom or the end with the spring. So with the spring on, it's going to look something like this. Both of your cups should be facing the spring. Alright, as per usual, we're going to give it the lube. I like to make sure that they're really lubed up. Just helps the seals slide in and prevents them from sticking and pinching and damaging a seal. Now we can slowly work our piston into the master cylinder. I like to wiggle it a little bit as I push it in. Perfect. Just like that. Now this part's a little tricky. We're going to drop in the washer. And then we're going to grab our snap ring. We're going to set it up on the pliers. And we're going to use that to compress our piston. Be gentle and seat that snap ring so that it locks everything in place. Just like that. It's never a bad idea to grab the plunger and just give it a test. Oop. This part's kind of tricky without anything holding it, but just give it a test, make sure everything is moving as it should. Next, we're going to install the boot onto the plunger. It's going to sit in that groove right there, this piece here. So we're just going to push that through and get that seated up in that groove. Got to work it a little bit, pull it down. There we go. Just like that. Not everyone does this step, but I like to do it. Just a little bit of peace of mind. I run a little bit of grease inside the boot just to help with corrosion and water and whatnot. And a little bit on the end of the plunger, just like so. Next, we're going to go ahead and install our plunger. We can just work that down into there. And then I'll grab a flat screwdriver and just lightly press that seal in to the master cylinder. Perfect. Next, we're going to go ahead and install our rubber boot, followed by our little nylon piece here, just like that. And then we can go ahead and throw on our reservoir cover. And go ahead and tighten that up with the hardware supplied in the rebuild kit. There we go. One master cylinder rebuilt. In case you were wondering, the rear brakes are basically the exact same thing, minus one piston in the caliper. And now this bike is going to stop like a dream thanks to All Balls Racing.